Hello and welcome to the third episode of Decoding Branding with Divya Shah. In this episode, we will dive deeper into understanding how you can work on building community for your business and how it will shape the brand perception. To talk on this topic, I have got Aashish Ramamurthy, who is a Chief Evangelist at Moda and a co-founder of the D2C Drive Community. So let's get started. Hello, Aashish. Welcome to my podcast, Decoding Branding with Divya Shah. How are you doing?
Hey Divya, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm doing great. In fact, uh, branding has been something that I've been looking at from the last 2 weeks, right? Being a community builder, it's really interesting to look at that side of the table. So yeah, we're really excited to come and talk about community and branding.
Thank you so much, firstly, for accepting my invite to be here and talk my users, my viewers through how community building can help them with brand building. So let me get started with the very first question. That is, when is the right time for a business to start investing in building community? And what are some of the must remember points in their initial days of building community?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So, especially since considering our listeners are mostly e-commerce folks who are listening, the fundamentals remain the same in terms of why a community, why somebody considers to go for a community angle is due to creating uh, a more mission-oriented play for their company, uh, a differentiator which can really pave the way. Third, in the longer run, reduce their cost of acquisition and make sure that they have more word of mouth marketing working for them, which is the best that we all know, right? But it's tough to implement that, right? It takes time to get there. Coming to when should you go for building a community? So let's say you, as a D2C brand, uh, let me talk about the journey, right? So if you're right now considering, yeah, the first step would be to manufacture your product, right? So you just spend money to manufacture your product. Second is you need to understand your consumers' needs, your market needs, what are the products people are using out there, but they're having a lot of problems, right? Either from the product side or from the angle of how to use this, or like who do I go to, right, to solve this particular problem, right? So pretty much, I think we're doing a lot of research and having your consumers talk about what their current problems are with existing products or their current lifestyle is where the starting of the community can start come into play, right? And this can be before you launch the product as well, right? So, for example, you're trying to do something in the vegan space, or let's say you're trying to bring sustainable fashion. Yeah, you're trying to create something very like new and very disruptive, very creative in the market, right? You're trying to change the norm. You're trying to make a difference. You're trying to change the world. Now that takes time, right? And you need to find the set of people who are very motivated to that change coming in and being a part of that change. Now, interestingly, there might be already people who are already developing that for themselves. They're already talking about it on social media, but they're not able to find a set of people to hang around and see how can we build this through. How can we make sure more of these happen? That's where I think a community starts really coming out, right? If you are primarily an e-commerce owner, you find this problem yourself, please, you should be the driver of that community, right? Or you find your users telling you that this is a problem, and you find that there's an opportunity to create a community of people, right, to back this change, to back this movement. Do that, right? So a community can drive the product as well, right? Versus also, you can also look at community also as a retention and engagement angle for your existing users. So it's very subjective in nature, right? Yeah.
Great. So thank you firstly for walking through why one needs to really focus on, building communities. I was actually talking to one of the performance marketers previously, and he told me that the CAC has been increasing drastically. So I think community building surely helps in reducing that CAC and the word of mouth marketing. Thank you for that. Now, my second question to you, Ashish, is that what is the right platform to start building the community, especially for a business who is in its nascent stages?
I think the steps to that is actually finding out which platform is your ICP, which is primarily your ideal customer profile, is hanging out more in, is talking more about, right? Uh, Nowadays, things have changed actually. Like people are on so many different platforms. You should more care about which platforms are they engaged more in, right? Uh, we are not living in a one social media platform anymore, right? We are in like a omni-channel experience, even from a social angle, right? So, and depending on your ICP, you will actually figure out two platforms which will really be that two active platform that your ICP is hanging out. So that pretty much gives the direction for you that you should create the community there, right? Now, when you start about creating the community, yeah, a lot of people go into the phase of let me create one space, right, where people can hang out, chat, and interact, right? Now, this is great to start out with, right? You can have like thousands, and you can even reach 10K and all of that, right? But as you scale, the problem will start to come in terms of it becoming a network rather than a community, right? There is a huge difference between the two. A community is where people collaborate, communicate, get help, talk about shared interests, go through challenges together, right? There's a lot of experiential factor, there's a lot of belonging factor. As you grow, the belonging factor of your community will start to spread, right? People will start to realize that, yeah, I've been part of this part of the community for experience for some time. But after that, they'll be like, I want to, hey, if there is some, they will start to suggest that can we have a new experience, right? So that's where your challenges will start to arise. If you plan that from day one, you're great, right? You can actually, if you have some money on the table, you can actually go for investing in platforms like Insided, Circle.so. Discord is free, right? People can do that, right? And WhatsApp is also free. People can do that. So use the free platforms initially to set your one or two channels, I would say, for community. But as you grow, you will have to create a hub of sorts. Right? You'll have to upgrade yourself to a better community management platform, right?
Okay. Okay. So you have to always have the larger scale, the larger vision while you're building the community, especially when you're choosing the platform. So what are like some of the recommended platforms from you?
Trust me, even now there is no perfect community platform out there. There's no ideal community platform ICP out there, right? Right. But things are getting right. So slowly, platforms like Insider, Discourse, Circle.so is coming out. A lot of creators and brands are moving to those kind of platforms, right? But again, that's a heavy cost as well included. That's usually invested when you start to realize the ROI of the community and you want to really scale it up, right? But in the initial days, I would say WhatsApp right now it has great community features. Facebook groups also is not bad still, right, for community management. It also gives a good platforms. Discord, yet in a very different landscape. Slack has been used as well as a community platform. Uh, See, when choosing a platform, right, it all comes down to like that question of, yeah, which platform is your users comfortable in, right?
Yeah.
Platform really doesn't matter. If you are building a good community, you should care about the community experience, value, all of that end of the table, and people will stick to you wherever they are, whichever platform they are.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So while we have talked about, the right time to start building a community, to what is the platform, now let's get a little deeper into understanding what are the more basics but in-depth, actionable tips that you would give to someone who is just getting started with community building to start, probably someone from the nascent stages.
Yeah, sure. There is a framework called as spaces, right? So this actually was coined by Bevy guys, CMX guys, who is driving a lot of community people to come in the industry, right? So we all follow pretty much this model called as spaces. So S stands for support, right? So are you building a community for support, right? Uh, Support for anything, support for malnutrition, support for veganism, support for mental wellness, right? Support for creators, whatever that is, right? So support for something, right? Becomes that first thing. Second, product-oriented communities, right? You have a lot of people already using your product, and you want them to be part of your building cycle. You want them to educate other new people who come and use your products. You will want them to become your ambassadors, your primarily your evangelists, right?
Yeah.
Of your product. So you build a product oriented community which is very focused on retention, engagement, and word of mouth for your product, right? Then acquisition, right? A lot of people want users beforehand they launch their product. So you pretty much go in the direction of building a community before you go out there in public with your product, right? And you build closely with that community till you go public so that you have already your acquisition pipeline created before you go out there, and they will drive your growth as well after going open out there, right? Then C comes really important. C is collaboration, right? Are you building a community to match make someone? Yeah, it might be like even in the business angle, are you trying to match make a manufacturer with an e-commerce brand? Are you trying to match make single people together, right? What are you doing, right? So what part of collaboration and marriages are you building through your community, right? So people come for that, right? Then you start with E. E is very empathy driven, right? Empathy driven community, right? The next step actually is for success, right? Once you drive all of this, huge success for your brand, right? Which is going to take fire across the globe by people driving these, right? Your brand product driving it, right? Your evangelist driving it. That success can be for the ecosystem, success can be for the product, success can be for your category, right? So usually this is the framework that I tell people to follow so that they know what type of community should I build for my brand. Right?
Okay. So the spaces model that you've just shared, as a founder, say if I want to start building a community, I need to pick one of this, that is either support, product, acquisition, collaboration, empathy, or success. Right.
Yeah.
So I need to pick one of this and then get started with building my community. So first I need to lay down the purpose of why I am building the community.
Yeah.
Right.
That comes to brand strategy.
Yep. The what, why, and how of your brand.
Yeah. So yeah, you know better than that.
Yeah. So my a continuation question to you here, Aashish, would be that, say I know I want to build a product-led community. Okay. Now, and say I have around 300 or 500 odd customers right now who have bought my product once. Now, if and till date, I don't have a community, but now I want to start building a community. So do I incentivize them to join a WhatsApp group, or do I just drop them a message saying, like, we're starting a community, that could you join us? So how does this work? Like, how are you supposed to bring people together?
Yeah. So this is from how do you, like, this is primarily the programming angle of the community, right? Now, there's multiple ways, right? For somebody who doesn't have monetization aspect to provide, you provide primarily content, you provide some exclusive benefits, right? Saying that, hey, join this community and you will get to know our new product launches, our new features, or our new products we are launching, or new discounts that we're going to, right? Or you can meet other users, other super users, other influencers, right? So you either provide content, you either provide connection. These are the two things that you need to nail for people to join in, and you need to make it exclusive enough that people feel that fear of missing out. I also call it fun of missing out as well. While fear is one emotion that you can deal with, community people should actually go for fun of missing out, right? If I don't join this community, I'm going to miss out on the fun, right?
Yeah.
These guys are hanging out. These guys are talking stuff. These guys are building something together. These guys are sharing something together. This is fun for me, right? Nobody's doing out there. I don't have a space to go where I can have fun, right?
Yeah.
Create that fun of missing out. This is what I say for community builders, right? Because then people will come to you, right?
So it's okay.
Yeah.
So it's either content or
Benefits.
Exclusive benefits that you need to provide
and connections.
And connections. Yeah. Content and connections. Yes.
There's also one more thing, education, right? Yeah. Nowadays, we've heard cohort-based courses works purely on community-based concepts, right? Yeah, you provide somebody education as well through the community, so that they can get access to it with a much lower cost or free of cost out there. Right?
Fair enough. So while we're talking about, the basics, one more question here I'm adding on to is, should the founder themselves get into building the community, or should they hire someone to build that community for them?
If you have faced this problem yourself and you haven't found a solution, and you have been looking at this from the last 2, 3, 4 years, you should build that community. You have faced that problems. You have talked to a lot of people who have faced that problem. So people know you already, right? And people understand your story already to start relating to you and coming forward. So in that case, founders should go about doing it. If you don't have that connect with the problem, you should get a subject matter expert from outside, or somebody who can pretty much relate to that story, been part of that story, and can bring in others, because that person can relate to them. People will relate to that person to pretty much join the community for. And sometimes even a founder and a subject matter expert comes without no community background. That's where people need community designers, community consultants, community managers, uh, chief community officers, all of that. that's where the ecosystem is growing, right? And that is why now a lot of community people are needed in it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, how do you think does a community shapes a brand perception?
Wow. This goes back to the brand strategy, actually, right? If you have nailed your brand strategy well, in terms of what are the brand core causes that you're supporting, right?
Yeah.
You need to define that core causes, right? That you will support for your end users. Then what is your brand personality? What's your brand tone? What's your brand vision? What's your brand's purpose, mission? Uh, and what's that personality that you can create as a brand to primarily have the community to come and build with you, connect with you, right? Goes back to that. So if you can pretty much nail your brand strategy pretty good, community strategy will be actually pretty easy, right?
Okay.
Because I want my brand to be looked at in a way that other brands have not done it, right? I want people to have fun talking about, say, intimate wellness or, say, fitness, right? I want people to come and easily talk about that, right? I want to be that brand, right? Where people can come and talk, right? You start thinking yourself as a platform, the mindset will change, right? Always a community should be a platform designed for people to pretty much change their lives and help them become better. By doing that, they should help others become better. For example, let's say my muse who's into going out there and telling that, hey guys, talking about intimate wellness and sexual mental health is okay, right? And they have primarily built that community, right? That means a lot of content, a lot of people who hang around and talk about this brand, they don't talk about their products. They talk about what they're learning from them. They talk about the kind of people they're connecting from them. They they talk about what kind of people they met, right? So it changes in the perspective of how they communicate with others in the society or in their social networks or whatever that. Instead of telling that this product I used because of getting 20% discount and here is a 20% discount for you as well to try it, you will be like, this product I discovered because this guy's life changed and he talked about it. And when I saw that story of him, it motivated me to imbibe that in the lifestyle and join that community because I've been lonely feeling all of this. But I didn't know there was already sets of people who have done it all, tried it all, who I can just go hang around and talk to and change my life for not. So if you're lonely, you will take a lot of time to change. But if you're in a community experience, you might change your life within a week. You might start a new lifestyle within a week, right?
Yeah.
Then when you go out there, you will start to pretty much say that, hey, X brand helped me change my lifestyle, right? Now, that brand perception is amazing. Trust me, in its sense, it will increase your valuations, it will increase your customer happiness, it will create that differentiator for you as a business. It will create that impact that the ecosystem was wanting for from a long time, but nobody had the guts to pull it off, and you pulled it off, right? Example of that, like pretty much also goes out to Peloton, Allbirds, My Muse, all of these brands who have been out there, right? Who are changing the lives of people all across. Like if you go to their forums, there is a different perspective. If you follow them on social media, it's entertaining, it's fun. They don't talk about their products that much. They really talk about their mission, right? And they talk about how their business is creating that impact, and people become part of that impact. People become part of that movement.
Fair enough. My last question to you is, what are the final do's and don'ts of building a community?
So I'll start with the don'ts. Don't build a community because someone else is doing it.
Okay.
Don't copy paste the same thing because you feel that, hey, it's a buzzword. Let's start. Without no direction, without no purpose, without no specific goals in mind, you're not going to get anywhere, right? Two, don't create a community as the only channel for acquisition for your product. Don't go with that mindset and create a community, right? Community is a long game you need to play. It's not a short game, right? You have to realize when somebody is a part of an experience for 1 or 2 years and you take that experience away from their lives, it's not good. They will find somebody else to go to. But yeah, I mean, your end of the spectrum is sorted, right? You exited, you made money, but you didn't care about people. So don't be that founder. I mean, there's nothing called as right or wrong, but just don't be that founder, right? Do's, create a community because people need that. People are talking about it. People are talking about it in Facebook, Reddit, social media, that guys wish there was a community like this, right? Wish there was a community who listened to me. Wish there was someone who listened to me, what I'm telling, right? You need to figure out the frustrations and fears that people have on social media, especially in your category or whatever that is. Then pick those frustrations and fears, change it into fun and life changing, right? That's when you really like nail that community game, right? Two, rely on community because it will create a community, yes, for lower acquisition cost, right? In as you move along, we are living in those times, right, where everybody will start to get the need to start creating community for their brand, for their personal brand, whatever that is, right? But again, if you're looking from a very, let me create a huge 50-year community, but keep it really not engaging, it people will know, people will realize it and move on, right? But if you want a community which is strong, exclusive, brewed upon, it will create a legacy even beyond your lifetimes. Create that, right? Create that movement. You want to bring in some change in the society, create a community, right? That pretty much just goes back to history on how the world has changed through movements, right?
Yeah.
And that hasn't been great, right? There's been positives and negatives what the society has come about because those visionaries have seen that by creating this now, 10 years later, the world will realize what I've created or what she has created. That's why you create a community, right? Yeah, so it's a very intrinsic thing. And yes, if the existing communities in the ecosystem are not really doing that well for the community, then they don't know how to curate, they don't know how to build one, right? They just got in together and bunch of things and they're just spamming people, right? They really not like building a good experience within the community. They're not providing value. Then you create the community because people need it.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you, Aashish, for sharing these many insights with me and everyone who's going to listen to this podcast. Thank you so much for accepting my invite and coming here and sharing all the knowledge that you have had over the years of experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Divya. One more thing I would love to maybe add on is, guys, go study how Nike built communities, how Sephora built communities, how M&M, built communities, right? Duolingo, all of these good brands out there, right, that people follow. Peloton is also a good community to follow. So yeah, there's a lot of history in community. Yeah, go check it out.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aashish.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, that was an interesting, power packed episode with Aashish Ramamurthy. I hope you found it equally insightful. So do not forget to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. This is Divya Shah signing out for today. Thank you.